Great. Thank you. Well, hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to the training session today, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend. My name's John Kozak, and I'm one of the account executives here at Jenny May. And what I wanted to do is maybe just a brief commercial to take a moment to underscore one of the points Wade and Tauhid made in the first session about commitment authority and the importance of monitoring your balances on the commitment authority, because I had not one but several issuers this week who ran out of commitment authority. Okay. So I think Wade may have likened commitment authority to a checking account. So, as you transmit your pools and draw down your commitment line balance, you eventually have to replenish it. And so when you're down to about 1, maybe 2 months of commitment authority, you should be thinking about ordering some more. And basically, you should try to estimate your usage rate out for the next 4 to 6 months. So when you order about 4 to 6 months of commitment authority at a time, and that means you'll probably have 2, maybe 3 commitment requests a year. Okay. And then try to give us at least 2 weeks to process your commitment request. Hopefully it's not going to take that long, but try to build it into the process if you would, because there's an administrative component to approving the commitments. We have to process the fee and all that. And then there's a review that takes place before the commitment is approved. And so we're doing an internal review here too, and that takes a little bit of time. So, buying commitment authority is not like buying a jar of coffee. Okay. There's a process involved, a concurrence process of a number of people that have to concur. And then once all the hurdles are satisfied, we have all the concurrences, the commitment is approved. So it does take a little bit of time to approve. But getting back to the checkbook analogy, if you're not monitoring your commitment line balance, then you're likely to submit pools with insufficient authority to fund them. And, that's kind of the equivalent of bouncing a check with Jenny May. Okay. Bank of New York is going to stop your pools when that happens. And then you're going to receive an email from your account executive indicating insufficient funds. And that puts everyone into a time crunch then, because we may not have enough time to process your new commitment request in time to hit your pool settlement date. Okay. And in those cases, then you may have to call your broker dealer and tell them you need to push the settlement date back. And, broker dealers are never happy to hear that. And so we don't want that to happen. So it's very important to keep track yourself of your daily commitment line balance. I think you can also find it in e-notification every morning. It gives you your commitment line balance, and as a last resort, if you're unsure what it is, you can always call your account exec, and they can tell you what it is as of that day. Okay. Let's see. So please be vigilant about monitoring your commitment line balance. And remember too that commitment authority has a shelf life of 12 months. Okay, so if you don't use it up within 12 months of the month of approval, it expires, and it means it goes to zero. All right, so I think I'm back on again. Back on?
We should be.
Okay.
We should be live.
All right. Okay. I have a tip that I can offer you, and this tip This tip in and of itself is probably worth the price of admission for this training. Ryan, how much did they pay to get into this training? Okay. Well, okay. The training is free? Okay. Well, the tip is free, and I might add, worth every penny. Okay. So here's the tip. Uh, Everyone knows that your annual audited financial statement, with all the beloved supplemental reports, is due 90 days after your fiscal year end. Okay. So most of our issuers have 12/31 fiscal year ends, which means your audit is due in to us on 3/31. Okay. So if we don't have your audit on 3/31, or your audit is incomplete, or somebody did something wrong, there's a glitch, something wasn't done correctly, a calculation wasn't done, we're not going to give you any more commitment authority, any new commitment authority, until, the audit is in, the audit is complete, and the glitch is, whatever the glitch may be, is ironed out. So that creates another time crunch. So the tip is, come February or March, start assessing your commitment line balance for April and May. Okay. And make sure you have enough commitment authority to carry you through April and May, and that you're not going to have to order anything. Okay, and we can still work off the previous year's annual audited financial data at that time. Okay, and we don't have a time crunch, so just kind of make that mental note within the 90-day time frame to make sure you have. We'll still work out the glitches but we can do it in the normal course of business, and we're not creating any kind of time crunch. So, okay, well, I'm done proselytizing. So I'll turn it over to the real experts, Wade and Tauheed, to give you today's presentation. Thanks very much.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, John Kozak. That was some good information. We always glad to have you as part of our training session. So thank you, sir, for being there and for sharing your knowledge and passing it on to the users. Hey, everybody, good morning again. It's actually Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and it's 71 degrees here in Manhattan, New York. So I hope it's good. It's nice weather where you are, and you're looking forward to the long weekend, because we're off on Monday, Juneteenth. So welcome to the final leg of our single family training. And this piece, it's not in terms of SFPDM processing, is like there's a document custodian transfer. That's what we're going to be looking at today. Document custodian transfer. And if you're new, you might not need to do this because you're just new to the program so far, but we just want to make sure you get some understanding of what this is. And again, we were talking about SFPDM all week, but some of the processes are still done in the legacy GeniNet, and document custodian transfer requests are also done in GeniNet. And then we're going to just talk about pool transfer system. We're not going to go through the detail of pool transfer system. We're just going to introduce it to you, tell you it's there, just in case you need to transfer your portfolio. But if you're a new issuer right now, if you're doing this for the first time, I don't think that's on your mind to do a pool transfer right now. But we just want to introduce it to you, and then you have the tools to go back and look at it in more depth. Of course, again, my name is Wade Gale. I'm working with Toyi today also. So hope everybody, again, is doing well. As we had mentioned earlier, we're going to look at types of document custodian transfers, GeniNet, and then we're going to actually review the document transfer requests. And we're going to offer you some quick tips in reference to how to do your document custodian transfer. Okay. Now there are all document custodian transfer are submitted via GenNet. That's a given right now. That's where it's done right now. Eventually, going down the line, that will change. But right now, document custodian transfers are all processed via GenNet. There are 4 types of document custodian transfer requests. There's a complete document custodian transfer. There's a partial document custodian transfer, and we have a demo, show the demo of a partial document custodian transfer today. There's a complete document custodian merger, and there's a partial document custodian merger. And the merger part, that means GenMA has to be involved. They would have to also sign off on that process. Just to tell you something about complete and partial transfer mergers, certification of transferred pools are due 12 months of the effective date of transfer. So remember that if you're in this process of doing a document custodian transfer, you have to make sure that the recertifications are done 12 months of the effective date of that transfer. Complete and partial merger do not require a new recertification of the effect of the pools that are transferred. The status of the pool pre-merger will remain the same. So you don't have to go to a recertification about that when you're doing merger. And important, once issuer submits the transfer request to the document custodian must certify the pending transfer request prior to the specified effective transfer date. Those are important because if they do it after and we go out and download that information on GenMA's system, it's going to come back and reject it that the effective date has passed. So you have to do some coordination when you're setting this up with the new custodian, because there are some things that the new custodian might want. They might not accept the transfer until they have all the proper documents on those pools that are coming over to them. So there's a lot of things that's done outside of the GenNet system so you can get this process done, because all GenNet does is you're going to put the pools in the system and then the custodian accepts. But whatever happens on the outside, you might have to send all the documentation, the mortgage note, the deed of trust, whatever is needed as part of that loan to the custodian before some of them actually say they're doing the acceptance in GenNet. And just, this is a screen of GenNet. We just thought if you're going to do this, you're on the host communications, there's a section that says document custodian transfer. And that's where you'll go in and actually submit we're talking about submit. We'll show you a demo a little bit later. Submit your transfer. So that's what that screen is showing there. And as I said, we have a short video to show you about document custodian transfers. And Ryan, if you could cue this up for me, please. So we're going to log into the system that we've seen all week. We log into My GenMA with our user ID and password. User ID is always your email address. Just remember that. User IDs. We're going to go into the system. We're going to look for tools. On the tools, we're going to look for GenNet. Once we get into GenNet, we're going to click on Close, and brings up the main menu. Under the main menu, we're going to look for certification. Under certification, we're going to look for common. And then we're going to choose document custodian transfer. I'm going to click on new. And then when we click on new, we're going to see the 4 types of transfers. And then at this point, you should know which one of the transfer you want to do. Today, we're going to look at partial. We're going to select the new custodian. We're going to put in the date of transfer. We're going to select the realtor, the organization. Then we're going to put in the consideration. Once the consideration is done, we're going to put in the previous custodian. We're going to select that. And then we're going to do import. If you can actually, if you're doing a small amount of transfers, you can actually do manual entry. We're going to do an import. So we're going to find where our file is. And then we're going to add the existing custodian because we're doing a partial. So we're not sending all the pools over to the new custodian. So we're doing an existing part because we have more than one custodian. That's what this is saying. So we're going to add the pools that are staying with the existing custodians. Going to find that file, import it. Choosing the existing custodian, add. That comes in, select it, and we can do add and import. We're going to add, we're going to enter the pools manually. Going to put that in, add. But that's if you have a small, if you have 1,000 pools, no way. I want everyone to sit there and do that. Build a file and import the pools. And when you're doing the import, it's just a 6-digit pool number. So we're going to add the pools that are staying. You know, we have a section that says previous and then said existing. Previous is the pools that's going to the new custodian, and existing is the ones that are remaining with your other custodian. Per Jenny May, they want you to log all of that stuff. So that's what we're doing right now. Where all the pools that are not going to that new custodian up top, we're adding them in the system. So we have the information that's going to the new custodian as previous, and now we have the existing custodian. These are not transferring. These are remaining with that custodian. So once this information is done, you save. Once the information is saved, you're going to go to reports and generate that 11.7.11.15 report. It generates 11.7.15. You know, you're used to 11.15. That was a part of the custodial agreement. This one is just generated with the request and the pool numbers and where they are. Let's wait until our report generates. Click on OK. Go to report download. And you know, on the way this is set up now, it does take a while before the report is generated. So we're just waiting for that. So this is the time I usually say, can I have a little bit of conversation with your coworker and just clicking on that confirmation button. That's what I do. Sometimes it doesn't do anything. It comes at its own pace. There it is now. And this 11.7.15 does not replace the one you did in MAMS, just to let you know this. This is just for your information purposes. It tells you, let's bring up the form a little bit. It tells you who the custodian is and who that's the new custodian, 00038. So the pools are going to that custodian. It shows you the person who show the custodian there. That's the form that is printed. Show you that that pool is going to custodian 0038, and then that all those pools are going to be available on pool list 2. So this is pool list 2, showing all those pools are going to the new custodian. There are the 3 pools there. And then there'll be another list. Now, these are the pools that are remaining. This is also going to be on list 2. So we had 2 custodians set up there that's remaining with that's no transfer happened. Let's bring up that list again. And again, those are remaining. And then the next list should show the pools that are going to the new custodian. And also the custodian does get this listing too. so they can do their verification. So these are the pools that are going to the new custodian. So this is a partial. What it's saying, then once this is done, get out of here, and then you'd go to host communications, custodian communications, and you choose document custodian transfer, and you'll go in and submit that record to your document custodian. We can submit. I think, and put in your credentials actually to do your submit. And I think this is right where we end this recording. Right. Again, that was a quick, very, very, very quick. And what we did right there was show partial. And just to emphasize on this, partial is saying that you have more than one custodian and you're setting some of your pools from custodian A, B, C, D to custodian E, F, G, H. So you're just showing those pools that you're sending. But you're also telling JennyNet, you still have existing custodian. So per JennyMay, you have to list those existing custodian. Those custodian numbers, those custodians are not, pools are not going anywhere. Those are remaining with the existing custodian. You're just making change to that custodian to a new custodian, but you have 3 custodians, so all those other pools are remaining. So that's a partial. Now a complete is you're telling JennyMay that my entire portfolio from custodian 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to custodian 4, 5, 6, 7. And I always have to encourage the users when you're doing this document custodian transfer, please make sure you know what you want to do. Because you're going to call, if you're not sure, you do call my team, but we try not to advise you on what to do because we don't want to make the mistake. The reason why I'm saying that, because a lot of times users have actually said they are doing a complete or they're doing a partial, and what they did the wrong thing. So all their pools might have gone over to a new custodian, and that becomes a big headache for JennyMay now, because JennyMay has to instruct us to go behind the scenes and do the reversal of that transaction. So you just want to be very careful and know what you're doing. If you're doing a partial, make sure it's a partial. And they want you to make sure all the pools you're sending to the new custodian belongs to that previous custodian. Make sure all the pools that you're sending are remaining with these custodian. Those are the pools that are currently under the custodian. It's very tricky and very important that you get it right, because if it's not done correctly, then we would have to do changes behind the scenes. A lot of times we have gotten requests from JennyMay, can you reverse this? Bank of Wade Gale did the wrong thing. They should have done a partial and they did a complete. So all their pool portfolio went over to custodian 1, 2, 3, and it should have actually remained with custodian 2, 4, 5. So we just want you to be careful on that. Some quick tips. For complete document custodian transfer merger, the issuer is required to submit a complete pool list. We said that because in JennyNet, this was set up a long time ago. If you even put one pool when you're doing a complete, it will transfer your entire portfolio. So the custodian is only get one pool to do their verification, and you maybe have 1,000 pools in your portfolio for that custodian. So make sure you add all the pools. For partial document custodian transfer or merger, the issuer is required to submit a complete list of pools being transferred, as well as a pool listing for existing document custodian. That's what we were trying to demonstrate in that quick demo. You're sending these pools as a partial, but you're telling GenMay these are remaining with these existing custodian. The issuer should enter an effective date of transfer as a business day of the month at least 3 days past the current date and not more than 6 months past the current date. So if you're doing a document custodian going the system today, you cannot put a date for Monday that you're going to do a transfer. It have to be 3 business days. So you just want to be careful of that. And it's very, very important also that your custodian is aware of these dates. Kids, you don't want to put a quick date and they're doing their due diligence of verifying the documentation and doing all of that stuff. You might have an arrangement with them that, can you do the process? Can you accept in Geninet? And then we are in the process of sending you over the documentation. It all depends on the relationship you have with them. But most custodian, I would think, would not want to go into Geninet and do a approval of these pools or these pool numbers until they have the actual physical documentation. But that's so you and your custodian will need to work that out. An e-notification of approval or rejection is sent to issuer and new document custodian. So when the process is done, that is sent. And we also, I mentioned earlier when we were doing that quick demo, pool listing may be imported or key entered directly into Geninet. Whatever works for you. If you're doing a couple transfer with a couple pool numbers, it might be best not for you to create an import file. The best thing for you to do might just do them manually. And you want to also take in consideration the Geninet on the web training guide. You'll see there's a section in there about document custodian transfer. So you just want to pay attention to that. The reason why we bring this up a lot, it's always one of those topics with document custodian transfer. We have done 2 webinars on this already. If you go out there on the GenMay website, there are 2, we have done webinars on this because it was such a hot topic one time when some custodians were leaving the business and people were had to do these transfer and they weren't too sure on what to do. That's why we always thought it's good to bring it up again on when we're doing a issuer training. I also want to mention right now we are in the process of creating, or what should I say, redesigning a document custodian transfer process where we're looking to make it as more efficient as possible. So look out later. I don't know when it's going to come out, but it's going to be a new version. It should be better. It should be more intuitive. It should address a lot of the concerns that GenMay had and BNY Mellon had in terms of how the process works now in this version. So we're in the process of working on that to make sure it will be more efficient, more time consuming, and it makes sense when what we ask you to do when you're doing a document custodian transfer. So we're in the process of putting that together. So look out for a new system in that space in the near future. And again, we have pool transfer system on here, and we just thought we'll just introduce this. Again, if it's a new group, I don't think you're going to do a pool, a portfolio transfer, but we just want to give you, this is out there on GenMay's Bible, the MBS guide. It's out there on the MGM. So we just want to make sure you have some information on the pool transfer system. And just give you an overview. PTS provides an automated means for the issuer to do the following: initiate and update pool transfer request information, import and update pool numbers being transferred, view and receive the associated approval documentation, approve or reject pool transfer requests from the selling issuer, access and view reports, and confirm associated transfer fees. I feel like I missed the screen. No, I did not. I did. Now the types of transfer. And if any transfer, any of the GenMay account executive are there, the ones who are, or the PTS expert, if they want to jump in, they're free to. We have the standard pool, the selling issuer transfer pools to another issuer by mutual agreement. We have the related pool party. Oh, wow. That always tickled my fancy. Related pool party. That means, hey, it's a weekend, so why not? The selling issuer transfer pools to another issuer by mutual agreement. Issuers are related. That's the related pool party. And then we have the merger. The selling issuer transfer all pools to a related issuer due to an internal reason in a business merger. The merged issuer initiate the process. So those are some of the type of transfer we have. And we also have the pool transfer system for issuers. If you need to use that user manual, we have the information sorted out on page 2. So these are the types of transfer: standard pool, related pool party, merger. And again, you access the pool transfer system via MGM, which you go on the tools, and you'll see it in the acronyms PTS, Pool Transfer System. And number 2 there, look at what the application, then look at the PTS on the application. That's what it looks like. And then 3 is where you do the actual pool transfer, just to give you an idea what the screens look like. If any reason in the future you're going to do this. And again, the way GenMay does, we have the system, we have the user manual, we also have the QRC. And again, why we try to do this? Because people might learn much faster from the little quick references than actually reading through the document. So this is a quick reference guide just to how to use the PTS system. We talk about request pool. We have the request pool transfer screens in there, request new transfer, access the submission center. We have how to view the status, how to accept pool transfer, and how to run reports. Just a quick part of it, just to get it done instead of actually reading through the user manual. I told you that this was short, just an introduction, just to get you, if this is something you're going to do. Our expert in our group here at BNY Mellon is a Margaret Williamson. I don't know if anybody have actually spoken to her in reference to any pool transfer issues. She's the one who usually aid most of the issues in terms of that process. And I said on Monday that our session is usually very, very, very short on the Friday, Getaway Friday. We don't want everybody to be here for 2 hours. Are there any questions, any concerns, anything, not on today's session, but on something that we talked about on Monday and we talked about on Wednesday? Is there any question in the chat? I don't see anything. Okay, let me take the time and do this then. John did a wonderful job on talking about you need to make sure you have your commitment authority and what's the best way to check on this and make sure you do that. And I'm also going to mention your master agreements. Make sure you have your master agreements in on time. And the next couple of months, or October 1st, is when master agreement renewals start. And I usually encourage users, don't wait until the last week in December to get this done. You know why? The ones you want to finish the process might be on Christmas holiday. And that becomes an issue if you want to issue pools in January of the new year. Because a renewal is telling GenMay that the accounts that I currently have on file for 2023, I am making no changes. So I'm renewing those for 2024. That's all it is. You're not sending any new documents because you're saying nothing is changing for 2024. So I'm just going to go in and renew what I have for 2023. So try and do that as soon as possible as the time comes. You'll usually get notices either on MGM. There'll be notice telling you that when to start, but it's October 1st to December 31st. And if you don't meet that deadline, most of the time over the last couple of years, GenMay has not done an extension on it. So, oh, somebody's asking me a question, I see, about the time frame. Do you have an estimate time frame the student will move to SFPDM? I don't know that we're working on it now. I'm not too sure if it's going to call SFPDM Custodian. I'm not too sure what the name is going to be, but GenMay is actually working on that right now. So just keep in tune in reference to that. But those are things that are on our mind because we have to get away from the GenNet space. So we're working on that right now, Dana. So thank you. And one more thing, pool numbers, especially in SFPDM space. If you put a wrong pool number in the system, it tells you right up front. That's a good thing. We didn't have that in GenNet. GenNet, you can put anything, but guess when it catches it? When we do the download and doing our second validation, that's when it comes out to us and say, pool number does not belong to issuer 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have to get to the issuer and say, hey, this pool came in and it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to another issuer. And that put a lot of burden on you now. You have to make that change, delete the pool, resubmit the pool with a real pool number, and send it off to the custodian. That could delay your time in getting those securities to the investor. So you just want to be careful. So that's a good thing in GenNet. We validate, not GenNet. I know I'm going to say that. SFPDM, we validate that upfront. So if you're putting a wrong pool number or pool identifier or how it's known in SFPDM, the system that field will show red until that pool number is invalid or it does not belong to you. So that's a good thing. It's checking it up front before in GenNet it's in the back end. So get those pieces in. Also, another important thing, if you are a designated org admin in your shop, make sure you have 3 per GenMay. You need to have 3 designated org admin to do the process. And if you don't have 3, I don't know if anybody noticed it, sometimes you'll get notices saying you're short and you need to check your admin. And I do understand sometimes the admins are not the ones who actually do the work. They just maintain certain things. I would encourage them to go in maybe on a weekly basis, just to log in one time and just to keep your ID fresh. Because if you don't log in for 90 days, your information is going to disable. And what it does to it also take away those privilege role. So you'd have to go through setting those up again. So if you're an admin, just keep your ID active so you don't have to get that notice that you're down to 2 or 1 org admin. So that's a check that goes into the system on a regular basis. And users, the way the hotline works, if you're a user and you're locked out of the system, if you call our hotline in reference to that, we're going to say we cannot reset you. You have to speak to your org admins. So the org admins are the ones who can reset them in terms of how the system is set up now. So just be anyone who's an actual user call us for a reset. We won't do that or unlock your ID. We'll actually send you to your not your account executive. Wait, I don't want to riot on me sending them there. No, it doesn't go to your account executive. Go to your admin in your shop. And again, be familiar with SFPDM. You have the PDD get familiar with that. If it's not you, if it's your technical people, get them involved so they know what's coming down the pipeline. And also with the VTT, get familiar with that tool. So when that XML file is created, you can upload and do your validation there to make sure everything is okay before you do before you do another import into SFPDM. And make sure you are a part of all the GenMA modernization meetings, forums. Check out all the emails, the APMs, because that way you're keeping yourself informed. Because surprisingly, as you close your eyes and open, it says December 1st. And are you going to be ready for December 1st when GenMA said no one can submit via GeniNet anymore then? So you want to, if the powers to be in your organization is not hyped for this process yet, you might have to put some fire under their feet and say, hey, this is real, it's happening, it's 2000. We've been hearing about this for the last 18 months. It's almost here. We need to get involved if we're going to issue GenMA pools in their new environment. So we just want you to encourage you to do that. Encourage you to read the user manual. Encourage you to know what you're doing in terms of the type of pool you're doing and what are the requirements. So that means use the MBS guide as your guidance for that. If you're not too sure on any policy questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your AE, because you should know who they are so you can actually talk the policy thing to them if it becomes a policy question. On the application piece, now that would be my team on the hotline. You'll call in reference to help there, or you send an email to @GenMA, and then that request or inquiry will be filtered down to the appropriate teams. Are there any other questions or concerns out there in reference to GeniNet, not GeniNet, in reference to SFPDM training? I was not able to make the Wednesday training anyway to view. Michelle, bad on you. I'm giving you a slap on the hand. Yes, Michelle, the training will be available on, I think by next week. The training can be found out there on the GenMA website. Okay, so you don't have to worry. So you still can have access to that. And then they're also going to place the recordings out there too of what we had as part of that session. So you will have access to it, Michelle. Thanks for your question. Let's see, Ryan said, hopefully sometime next week. Nice. Next week. Nice. Is there anything else? Anybody, any other GenMA account executive want to say anything before we go into sunset for the weekend?